It's a time to speak about not political spin or parliamentary point scoring, but about Britain's moral reckoning with one of the gravest institutional failures of the modern era, the grooming gang scandal. And after months of hesitation and years of suffering, the country seems to be ready to finally commit to a full statutory national inquiry into group-based child exploitation. And this is a crime euphemistically labelled as grooming, but better described bluntly as systematic child abuse, pimping, and abandonment. And this announcement, following Baroness Louise Casey's damning audit, has long been in the making. Too long, many would argue. And it's not a time, I think, for point scoring on either side of the chamber of the House of Commons. Though I think it's to be praised that there have been so many people in the House of Commons who've been campaigning for this. After resisting pressure for months, Starmer's U-turn, prompted not by principle but by Casey's audit and looming parliamentary embarrassment, has rightly been welcomed, but survivors and campaigners ask, why did it take so long? Starmer says he's read every single word of Casey's report and will now act. This is a shift from Labour's earlier stance that the 2022 independent inquiry into child sexual abuse was sufficient. It was not. That inquiry devoted just 5 pages to the gang issue, and survivors were barely heard. Labour's historical reluctance has not been accidental. Many of those crimes occurred under Labour-run councils in Rotherham, Telford, Rochdale and Oldham. Electoral calculations about community sensitivities were prioritised over safeguarding vulnerable white working-class girls, often in care, often already marginalised. Racism exists in 2 forms here. There are those on the far right who weaponise these crimes to stir anti-Muslim hatred, but there are also the institutional cowardice of liberal authorities who refuse to act for fear of appearing racist, and that moral failure enabled continued abuse. Casey's report and earlier academic studies confirm that the majority of men convicted in group-based child sex exploitation cases are of Pakistani Muslim heritage. That's the elephant in the room, and the fact is uncomfortable, but it cannot be ignored. No community is above scrutiny, and to investigate the Catholic abuse scandals but shy away from probing Islamism or clan-based patriarchal systems is hypocrisy. In some cases, abused girls were themselves prosecuted for being drunk or even for pimping when coerced into recruiting others. Perpetrators walked free while victims were shamed. It's a grotesque inversion of justice. Operation Augusta in Manchester was prematurely shut down. Warnings in Bradford were ignored. Social workers and police were aware but silent. Fear trumped duty. And the renewed focus owes much ironically to Elon Musk, who, through his blunt and provocative interventions, forced a response. Though his language was incendiary, the discomfort he generated proved politically effective. Statutory powers should be delivered to compel testimony. A new commissioner-style model should be able to trigger local probes. Honest examination of ethnic and religious dynamics is essential. A review of taxi licensing and care system vulnerabilities is vital. And any inquiry now needs to hear testimony from survivors, centred, not marginalised. Inquiries in Britain can take years. Survivors age, evidence fades, and justice risks dying of attrition. As the NSPCC warns, a national inquiry must not delay urgent action. The time for sympathy without strategy is over. Starmer's decision may have been prompted by pressure, political, moral and public, but it remains the right decision. But I think people should hold his government to account to ensure this is not a whitewash. This is not a PR gesture. This is not another exercise in slow-motion evasion or in delaying the help that's necessary. As Baroness Casey has made clear, no community, no political party, no public institution should be above the pursuit of justice. And justice begins not with delay, but with truth.